Welcome to So Many Receipts. I'm Flo Michelle.
And I'm Shelley Seddon.
And we are two entertainment journos based in Sydney, Australia, who love to analyse and talk about all things reality, TV and pop culture.
Each week on Receipt Roundup, we bring you our take on what's trending.
This week on the show, the drink throwing incident on the Real Housewives of Miami, the Real Housewives of Atlanta's most hated castmate sinks to a new low, an incredible new doco from a Law and Order star, and some shockingly sad news for Australian Survivor fans. So, it wouldn't be a Real Housewives show with at least one drink thrown over someone per season. It is basically part of the contract, and we got our moment in the latest Real Housewives of Miami.
And we're only up to episode 3.
I know. So I never thought we would see Julia and Guerdy fall out, but they have fallen out big time over a disastrous cruise trip. No, not the poop cruise.
Thank God.
The Netflix viral doco that we talked about last week. Another cruise where there was also a lot of crap going down, frankly, over what else? Social media, which resulted in Julia totally losing it and throwing a drink over Guerdy at Marysol's wedding celebration of all places.
So here's the deal. There was this fancy PR cruise around Miami for a few days, and Guerdy and her husband Russell went on the first leg. So Guerdy got home and immediately received a panicked call from Julia saying that Martina was having a health scare and that she couldn't go on the second leg of the cruise, and wanted to know if Guerdy could go with her instead and be her plus one. So Guerdy hadn't even unpacked, left her family, went back on the cruise she'd just been on, and she was just trying to be a good friend to Julia.
I actually thought that was pretty good of Guerdy to drop everything and go, considering she hasn't been in great health herself with her ongoing cancer treatment.
Yeah, exactly. And so there is some discrepancy about what actually happened on the cruise. Guerdy says that Julia ignored her feelings, and Julia says Guerdy tried to make it all about herself and networking in her business. And then Julia said something that I think made her entire argument fall apart. She said that Guerdy was trying to meet, wait for it, Captain Sandy from below deck.
Julia then said Guerdy was desperate to do photos with the stars like Captain Sandy for her social media accounts and other people's accounts, and kept posing for pics instead of spending time with her. So that's what really aggravated her. But here's the thing, Guerdy wouldn't have been doing pics every single second of the day. So I think it's silly for Julia to get so upset. Plus, Guerdy said Julia never invited her to the main PR dinner on the boat. So Guerdy just had to eat dinner in the pizza cafe or something by herself. I would have been outraged as well. She could have pulled some strings to get her in that dinner.
Yeah, apparently they took Martina's plus one away and didn't add her new plus one in. So it's just a simple mistake that could have been fixed. But I think there are two things that don't add up. So Guerdy probably has already met Captain Sandy at BravoCon. She's in Miami. All the boats are based in Miami. And I'm sure she's met her somewhere. And if Martina was having a health scare, why would Julia be going on some PR cruise?
Exactly. And talk about a health scare. Poor Marysol wakes up with a sore eye and has to wear a patch. So she's looking like a pirate at her own wedding shower, just trying to enjoy it, when this fight just goes from 0 to 100 at the dining table, which then results in Julia screaming and throwing a large glass of water over poor Kiki, soaking her to try and hit Guerdy.
Yes. So Julia was the one being unhinged. And then Guerdy accused Julia of getting a facelift while Martina was in New York getting chemo. Mic drop. On Watch What Happens Live, Kiki actually confirmed that this was actually true.
And that actually did make me laugh out loud. Spilling the beans on Julia's secret facelift. How deliciously catty.
Yes. And Guerdy also released all of the text receipts showing her conversation with Julia regarding missing a group Zoom call. And it wasn't cold, like Julia said. Apparently, Julia had to apologize right before this ep went to air, and she's been getting a huge backlash.
And the other uncomfortable thing brought up about that Zoom call was that Julia announced she and Martina had adopted 2 young boys, which was lovely. But Adriana, Julia's so-called best friend, was upset to learn about it on the Zoom with the other women for the first time, instead of Julia telling her about it first in private, which I totally got. Adriana has been there for her throughout this whole process. I would have been hurt not to hear it first as well. Like, not even a heads up text.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with Julia this season? She is pissing off everyone.
Yeah. And plus, on a sad note, Lisa's dad dies and she goes to Canada for his funeral. And Lisa's upset, saying that she wished she had more time with him. Girl, didn't you just fly to Miami to walk in a fashion show, not even for a top designer, instead of being by your dad's bedside when he's dying?
Yeah, and then Jody melted down in Milan as well, bugged out with his eyes.
Yes.
What a bad trip.
Exactly. This next segment is brought to you by new stage show Bring Back My Wives, which features some of the best-known stars from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Plus, it also features Teresa Giudice from the Real Housewives of New Jersey and Whitney Rose from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Bring Back My Wives is a theatrical extravaganza serving up unfiltered interviews, outrageous lip syncs, explosive confessions, and jaw-dropping performances.
The show is touring throughout July in Sydney, Penrith, Port Macquarie, Melbourne, Brisbane, Gold Coast and Canberra. To get tickets, log on to ticketek.com.au. And on another bad night out note with the Real Housewives of Atlanta, this week was the finale. Next week is the reunion. And this finale gives us our last ever glimpse, well, I really hope so, of Britt Eadie, who is surely the most unpleasant housewife to ever grace reality TV screens.
Yes, and Britt didn't even bother to show up to the reunion, and she has now quit the show and is also suing Bravo for $20 million for allowing them to air the controversial clip of Kenya Moore showing an explicit poster she'd made up of Britt at her beauty salon opening.
Yeah, and that makes what Britt does in the episode before this latest one all the more ludicrous. Basically, she and Kelly, her supposed closest friend, and remember, she doesn't have many.
Not anymore.
No, they fall out over an argument about Britt using Kelly's glam squad when she wasn't supposed to, even though Kelly offered her the glam squad. I didn't quite understand it. Anyway, things go ballistic at an event. Britt yells at Kelly in front of everyone, saying something like, "What about all the abortions you had when you were married?" I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
After Britt was so mortified at Kenya for going so low about the poster, and now she's going just as low about something so personal with Kelly?
Yeah.
She is dreadful. Plus, she started the whole poster board craziness in the first place by basically threatening Kenya with a gun, which then caused Kenya to put together the poster in retaliation, which she was then fired for.
Yes, and so Britt was added again in the finale, which featured Shamia's showcase to promote her singing career. Oh my God, it was giving me Erica Jane vibes, like such a rich lady vanity project.
I know. Oh, how come on this show they're all trying to be singers?
Yeah.
Some of them aren't very good either. They've all got auto-tune and it's still not that great.
Yeah, and after the show, all of the ladies went backstage and Shamia confronted Britt for telling Portia that Shamia shared their private text messages. So Britt is backed into a corner and does what she does best. She took it straight to the gutter, and she accused Shamia of lying about her sick daughter, her little Shiloh, and neglecting her while she was on the trip to Grenada.
Awful.
That is the lowest blow. And so this is the trip where Britt made a big deal of declaring her undying loyalty to Shamia a few weeks before. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
Everyone saw how upset Shamia was. And just like mentioning Kelly's abortion, like Britt is just the worst. And Shamia responded by calling Britt a streetwalker and a pill popper.
So that makes 4 women who need their own Britt Eadie support group, right? 4 women who don't like it. Now it's Kenya, Shamia, Kelly, and also Angela, because remember in this latest step, she first accused Britt of being shady enough to bring in a very gay, bitchy restaurateur called Marcus to Shamia's event, who then went around telling everyone there that Angela's husband, Charles, was having an affair.
Yes. I thought it was funny that Angela was going through the list of suspects like it's a game of Cluedo. She went through Britt, Kelly, and finally Drew brought in Marcus, and Marcus revealed that it was Phaedra, and who he called the Godfather of Atlanta. And I don't understand what Phaedra's motivation would have been, like just to give her a storyline or something.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
I don't know enough about Phaedra to know if this is something she would be capable of, but Phaedra denies her involvement and then strangely brings up the foreclosures on Angela's dud property portfolio to deflect from this argument.
And wasn't one of the things like lobbed out at her, well, Phaedra, you're a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. She's a lawyer? I didn't know that.
I didn't know
She's
that
an
either.
attorney?
Yeah. I thought she was a funeral director.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I so don't understand. Maybe she had a law degree back 30 years ago. And Phaedra was kind of laughing. I think she thought the Godfather reference was hilarious. I did too, actually.
Yes.
So this guy Marcus is now all over Twitter saying that it was Angela, and I would add production, who told him to do this stunt, right?
Yes, and frame Phaedra. So I guess we'll find out at the reunion. It's 3 parts.
Oh, that's going to be commitment. I do love a 3-parter. Some of them have gone to 4 parts. Wasn't Salt Lake 4 parts?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I don't understand how they can do 3 parts when 2 of the key players are missing.
Yeah, that's right. And I watched Watch What Happens Live with Angela and Cynthia last week, and even Andy Cohen mentioned that the season was dark, and he indicated what Britt said about the abortions was a new kind of low.
Yeah, and Phaedra was on Watch What Happens Live, and she said that we didn't even hear the worst things that Britt said.
Oh my, there's worse?
I know.
Oh my God, this lady.
Yeah, I will just say, thank God this season is over. It was my first time watching these Atlanta Housewives, and I have to say, it's my least favorite franchise. It was hard work, and I think it's just trashy, toxic, tacky. The fashion is awful. The houses, the cars, everything is over the top and gaudy, and just, I hated it.
Oh dear, I've seen the reunion dresses. If you don't like Guerdy, I don't think you're going to like what you see at the reunion. The signature colours are yellow and lime green.
Who decides this?
It's like basically highlighter pens.
Oh my God, no.
Very, very Guerdy.
Okay, can we please escape from the Housewives, and let's move on to Honestly Cavallari. So I finally saw the Kristen ep that I've been waiting for, her spilling the tea with the Southern Charm boys. So Austin and Craig joined her in Boston. So that kind of sounds like a poem.
Yes.
And there have been some rumors that she was somehow involved in a love triangle with Craig and Austin around 2020 when they were all spotted hanging out together, and it went viral. And no one knew if she was hooking up with Craig or if she was hooking up with Austin, but she only recently confirmed that it was Craig she was hooking up with on Watch What Happens Live. And she also suspected there was some overlap between his relationship with her and him starting to date Paige.
Oh, and I've got to tell you too, there's a crazy rumor that went around this week that Craig and Dorit have got something going or exchanged texts. I think it's actually made up because it was on a few sites, but they're kind of shady sites, and I couldn't find anything else.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and dig more. I so want that to be true.
Yes.
Not sure if it is. So you see Craig and Austin join Kristen on stage to answer some of her questions, about them dating, more about Paige. He did seem uncomfortable and not very thrilled to be there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So she grilled Craig about the timeline, and then, they all played along. But when he got off stage, he was caught on a hot mic saying, "This is about the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. The whole effing thing was about Paige. F that." It's like, this was right when it was all breaking. Of course he was going to be grilled about it.
Yeah, why did he agree to go on stage? I mean, I know he'd do anything just about in the name of PR, but considering he had just broken up with her, what else was she going to ask him about? I think he wanted her to just ask him about the pillows.
Yeah, in his sewing.
Yeah.
He's such a baby. And of course he was going to have to speak about this. Maybe he should have been more prepared. And I will say that I think Kristen can do better than Craig Conover. And I think Craig is never going to do better than Kristen or Paige.
Yeah, and since that stage show taped, Craig started dating a model called Natalie Buffett, but she actually ended up dumping him after just a few months, saying she just wanted to travel. Whereas he wants to settle down in Charleston and have babies, which is fair enough. He's actually 37. So why does he keep dating women who aren't ready and don't live anywhere near him?
Yeah, so apparently he's now back on Raya after this rebound relationship.
Raya. No normal people can get into it.
I know. I would love to look at Raya.
I know. I would love it. Look, I know he feels there's no one glamorous enough probably or social media worthy enough in Charleston to date. But I just think he needs to date more suitable women, even if they're nobodies. Yeah. What is he doing? Anyway, this next segment is brought to you by the Perimenopause Plan by journalist and nutritionist Faye James.
Drawing from Faye's own experience with perimenopause, in this book you'll find a stack of easy meal plans, 75 recipes, and tips to manage weight, energy, and perimenopause symptoms.
Listen to our chat with Faye now in the latest deep dive where we talked about all the peri symptoms, irritability, fatigue, weight gain, and also asked the question we all want to know. Why don't middle-aged reality TV stars talk about this more on their shows?
Exactly. The Perimenopause Plan by Faye James is out now through New Holland. So, on to our weekly look at And Just Like That.
Talk about perimenopause or postmenopausal women.
I actually felt like this episode was a return to form. AF Aiden free. I am so excited. I love not having to start our conversation by discussing the ridiculousness of Carrie and Aiden's situationship. So this episode also referenced one of my favorite all-time Sex and the City episodes, A Woman's Right to Shoes. This is the episode where Carrie goes to a baby shower hosted by the fabulous guest star Tatum O'Neal, and she's forced to leave her shoes at the door.
Oh, I loved Tatum playing that bitchy cool mum in that episode. Why didn't they just give her more shows of her own or do something. She's actually a great actress. Never got that.
Yes, exactly. So, of course, Carrie's wearing Manolos to this baby shower, and someone steals her shoes. So when the host shames her for indulgently spending $485 on shoes, Carrie justifies the purchase because she doesn't have children. So I would just like to note for the record, the cost of Carrie's yellow Manolo satin pumps in this episode, it's $995 US, which is 1,800 Australian dollars, not including shipping. Talk about cost of living crisis. Manolos used to be $485. So it was actually very exciting to finally meet a new potential love interest. Famous author Duncan Reeves moves into the apartment underneath Carrie. So he's this cranky old British man, which actually happens to be my type.
Does your husband know that? Oh,
yes,
he does know
he
that.
does.
Yeah. I also thought this guy just looks just like Jonathan LaPaglia. He's definitely Shelley's type in looks. Can I just say, Carrie, she was flirting way too much for a woman with a boyfriend, bringing Duncan gifts, taking him to dinner, dropping by his place. She's not a great girlfriend. She never was. She still isn't.
So I don't understand. Duncan comes to expensive, noisy New York City to hole up and write in this dingy apartment. But why?
Yeah.
It would make more sense if he was out and about getting inspiration. And also, why are we just now finding out that there's an apartment underneath Carrie's townhouse? So we've never seen an apartment when they've shown the garden before and her down there riding during the Rat Superhighway thing. I don't know. I don't think she owns this apartment downstairs because she doesn't really know anything about the tenant. So why is she the one making executive decisions about ripping out the garden?
And just on that note about coming to New York, don't writers just go to Bali to rent deserted villas or in the country or something? Why go to New York?
I would think you would need peace and quiet, but yeah.
It's so crazy. And I actually thought that Carrie's apartment was on the ground floor anyway. That was a surprise to me.
Yeah. So I think it's funny. She's annoying Duncan by walking across her wooden floors in her high heels, which she apparently wears constantly. But why in the hell would she walk around her house in high heels? So I don't even know who wears high heels after COVID. And I mean, I know
We're
she's
in the sneaker generation now.
Yes. I know she's Carrie Bradshaw, but still. Didn't she break a hip?
Yeah, because I think after you've had a hip replacement, they urge you to wear sensible shoes so your balance is more centered too, right? She's become a very silly lady. I think I liked her better when she was younger compared to now.
Plus, she's already had one fall in that apartment. I'm just saying.
That's right. She slipped and she called Miranda.
Exactly. So I was listening to the Writers' Room podcast, and they said that they didn't want a meet cute with Carrie and Duncan. So I really like that he isn't charmed by her and her gift baskets, and he just finds her annoying.
Her gift baskets. But we all know that's going to change, right?
Yes.
Probably in a few episodes' time because he'll be won over by her New York flashy persona, her crazy lady thing. It's going to happen.
Yes, but I did like when he said, "Have you no rugs?" Like she was a heathen or some peasant. So this is the show I love. A whole episode based around Carrie's shoes. And I also have to mention my other favorite part of the episode was when Carrie texts Samantha for goss on Duncan because Samantha's in London. So Samantha says that Duncan is known to be a lot of fun. And Carrie says he's underneath her. And Samantha, typically in her good quips, says, she wishes that Duncan was underneath her. This is the show we want. More, please.
I was surprised by that, though. They're still keeping the ghost of Samantha alive. Why? Are there plans for her?
Yeah.
You know what they should do? I was thinking they should send Miranda to London with her new British girlfriend. And while she's over there, Miranda should meet up with Samantha and film with Kim Cattrall in a real scene.
Yeah.
Because Kim hates SJP in real life. So why not just have her film with Cynthia Nixon?
I think because Cynthia is one of Sarah Jessica Parker's best friends. They've been best friends since they were child actors together. So
none of them like Kim Cattrall,
yeah,
maybe.
I know.
Oh, God. Anyway, don't forget to tune into our weekly deep dive to hear us pick apart this show even more, where this week we are also asking, why on earth did Cynthia Nixon decide to go absolutely naked in one of the latest scenes?
Is this really necessary?
No. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to our roses and thorns with some very shocking, sad, thorny news that after 9 years, Jonathan LaPaglia, who we already mentioned as Shelley's man crush,
yes,
also my man crush too, the host of Australian Survivor, was this week sacked by Channel 10 with no warning. I was stunned by this news.
I know. JLP said he had no idea it was coming. He just got a call and was told that former Survivor contestant and winner David Gannat would be replacing him.
And then JLP did a funny and very classy Instagram post just a few days ago, which I'll condense as it was long, saying, I have seen some of the most epic blindsides over the last 10 years, but this one might just be the craziest of them all because it happened to me. I received a call from the network thanking me for all of my hard work, but for next season, they are going in a different direction. Ratings had dipped a bit recently and they wanted to do something drastic to shake things up. I wish I could say before we go to vote tonight is a little different. No one's going home, but I can't. Someone is going home, and with no idol in my back pocket, that someone is me. Oh, God. I will dearly miss the immensely talented crew, all the crafty players, and our loyal, sassy audience. I'm a huge fan of this incredible game. It's been one of my greatest adventures of my career to helm Australian Survivor, so it's without a doubt the hardest challenge of all to snuff my own torch. But here goes. JLP, the tribe has spoken. P.S. Whoever said a blindside is the most humane way to put someone down is an idiot. Hurts like a bitch.
Oh, such a class act. I love him.
And you were saying that do you know who actually said that?
Yeah, apparently David Gannat said whoever said a blindside is the most humane way to put someone down is an idiot.
So it's Dave?
David Gannat said that, yeah.
Oh, God, how ironic. Now Dave's the new host.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So my daughter is a Survivor superfan, and so am I. And when I read out that full statement to her, we actually both cried. I'm not kidding. She had tears in her eyes. The fact that we've loved having him as an incredible host made us really teary, that we wanted him to continue for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Probst in US Survivor, plus the fact that he was so hurt by this unexpected sacking. You know what? He's 55. Yet another 55-year-old person just got rid of in their job for some random reason. It just sucks.
Yep, it happens all the time.
God.
And so fans are furious with this move, and many are questioning whether this addition with Dave will even do anything for ratings. So, and plus, Dave has enough money. He just won all of that money.
Like $8 million for Deal or No Deal Island in the US.
Yeah, exactly. So what does JLP have to do with dipping ratings? He's just the host.
I know.
But so I have to say there is a change.org petition to keep JLP.
Oh,
so
let's sign it.
Yeah,
everyone sign that. We're putting out the call.
Yeah, I signed it last night. As
you
of last
did?
night, it had around 5,000 signatures. So go to change.org and keep JLP as the host.
Oh, my God. I also read that they're panicking over not being able to attract enough spicy contestants. And they've even reached out to ex-MAFS rejects. I think MAFS this year has just spun the industry on its head. Like, it had such wacky people on this season that I think that producers think unless they get the craziest people on the planet, no one's going to watch anything. But Survivor's not about that. It's just about gamesmanship, right?
Yeah, it's a game, yeah.
And Dave has been a bit wacky in all of his shows. Perhaps they want him to have fights with people at Tribal Council now or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what he will bring to it. It's interesting. I do like Dave Gannat, but like, oh my God, I'm just so sad Jonathan's not going to be there anymore.
I know.
We need constants in this world.
Exactly.
It's too fast paced. It's changing too much. Like, at least leave JLP there.
I know. Everyone go sign the petition.
Yes.
So onto our roses and thorns. This week, I'm giving Next Gen NYC a rose, Nepo Babies New York. I actually don't mind this show. I'm actually more interested in what's happening off screen. And I have to say, Charlie's getting the villain spoiled brat edit, and his job description is crypto trader. But it's basically his dad giving him $10,000 to invest each month.
Because his dad's some big time
Yes,
trader
his dad's
too.
super successful.
Yeah.
But we just see Charlie rolling joints in his filthy apartment or skateboarding around New York. He actually doesn't seem to do much of anything.
And firstly, crypto trader. Every time I read that about someone, I just
cringe.
shudder.
Yeah.
That is such a vague occupation, and it seems shady too,
Yeah.
right? Plus, he's 30 years old, skateboarding. I mean, unlike some of them, he's not a kid. And I can actually see he's cute, sort of cute now. I can kind of see he's got the kind of face that's probably going to drop an age quite badly in a few years' time. So his looks are going to go. I don't understand why guys like this don't find it embarrassing that they have no real job.
So I did find some receipts on Charlie Boy. He filed for bankruptcy in 2023. So the show was filmed in 2024. So a year before the show, he filed for bankruptcy. And his legal documents stated he only had $1,500 in his bank account and he was unemployed. So he listed his assets as $1,000 in clothes and $2,000 in electronics, while his credit card debt was over $38,000. He just seems like a total F up. And also, he was at the scene of this crazy crypto kidnapping arrest in New York a few months ago. This cryptocurrency investor named John Waltz was arrested for allegedly kidnapping and torturing an Italian crypto millionaire with a chainsaw, electric wire, and more.
Yeah, I heard about this, and authorities suspected that this John Waltz tortured this Italian millionaire for weeks, right, in order in an attempt to get his crypto account password, something like that?
Yes, it is so crazy. So this bloodied Italian man eventually broke free from the townhouse.
Bloodied man.
Yes, running from Sonia's townhouse. No, I'm just kidding. Running from the townhouse. And he ran to a police officer. And a source described this Soho townhouse as a frat house for crypto bros. And another source said that Charlie would sometimes crash at this luxurious pad. And photos and videos of the arrest show a blonde man who was confirmed to be Charlie outside the townhouse looking concerned during this whole arrest going down.
See, stuff like that should be in the show.
Yes.
That's more interesting than what they actually talk about. And wasn't he just in socks in that picture too?
Yeah.
It might have been a dressing gown too. Plus, he's not the only Nepo baby on this show with cash flow problems.
Yeah, so Ava Dash was evicted from her posh Tribeca apartment last year. And in a filing, the owner alleged that Ava and her three roommates who occupied the apartment, they failed to pay the $9,995 rent for nearly 5 months. So apparently there was a brief shot of an eviction notice on Ava's door in the premiere episode.
But isn't her dad Damon Dash?
Yes.
He's like the big hip hop guy.
Yes, and he's in trouble as well. He has like $9 million in unpaid taxes. He's in a lot of trouble as well.
He's in sort of like the Diddy camp of being in a lot of trouble. Not that he did what Diddy did, you know. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not going to pay this show too much of attention
I know.
because it's just too young for me. Plus, is it an accurate portrayal of the youth of today? Probably not because they're all reality show spawn, but I mean, these kids are so unlikable.
I know, and they all have $10,000 a month rent in their New York apartments. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And one of the cringiest storylines had to be with Ariana and Hudson. So they met with this guy who owns a streetwear brand because they're starting their own fashion line. And when the guy asked them perfectly reasonable questions like, what's your vision for the brand and what's your elevator pitch? They had no idea. And Ariana was just like, I want to put hearts all over everything. That is not an answer. These guys are going to blow through so much cash on this vanity project. And if I was starting a fashion line, I would enroll myself in the best place to learn about how to run a fashion line, the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. Learn how to do it properly.
Yeah, but we're old school when you had to go and get qualifications and stuff and it felt like something real. I think these people now think that they're in such a hustle grind that, no, we can't waste time doing degrees or whatever. We just got to get on with it.
It's about influencers.
Somehow make it work. I don't know. Another thorn from me is about the ongoing saga with Jax Taylor and the Valley. There were wild reports this week that Jax had been fired from the Valley, which made me go, woohoo.
Yeah.
But it's now been said that apparently he has not been fired from the Valley. Misinformation has been spreading online due to unsubstantiated rumors and AI-generated content across social media. So even AI hates him and is pushing out that he's been fired. However, this has now led to a petition, talking about petitions, which has been launched seeking him to have him removed from the series.
2 petitions. Please sign these 2 petitions.
So Jonathan to stay, but this guy to leave.
Snuff out Jax's torch, yes.
Yeah, and there is also now a chance that the network could be held responsible for his actions. Bravo. So come on, Bravo. What are you waiting for? This is all a bit of a mess. Also, Brittany said Jax recently lied on Watch What Happens Live to Andy Cohen.
Shocker.
About the issue of whether she or he was going to leave the house. Brittany says Jax just gave false answers to make him look like the good guy to Andy. Meanwhile, Janet and Jason are quickly assuming the mantle of the most hated couple of the show. People absolutely despise Janet.
Yes.
Like if you read the forums and that. And they think Jason just stirs the pot for no reason, which is true. So not only do we have Brittany and Jax and Michelle and Jesse as the show's 2 resident hated couples, we've now got a third couple that viewers don't like either. And on the latest episode, they go to Maui and Luke proposes to Kristen. And even if you're a couple that's neither here nor there, like Luke or Kristen, you watch it and you'd like, I don't really care about you either.
I know.
It's like even the middle of the range couples, you're not invested in them.
No, I watched
any of these people.
Yeah, I watched it last night. It was like...
And it was dull as well.
It was really dull.
Because they had all the drama in the other shows. So it's either like the high drama that people are turning their stomach, or shows like this where it's just boring.
And it's still the
I don't
number one
get it.
show. Yeah, I don't get it either. Yeah.
What's going to happen anyway?
So finally, onto something ridiculous, from something ridiculous to something very moving. There is a new doco on Max called My Mother Jane, and it's Law and Order SVU star Mariska Hargitay. So she was only 3 years old when her mother, 1950s blonde bombshell and movie star Jane Mansfield, was killed in a horrific car accident. And Mariska and her two brothers were in the back seat of the car at the time, and she has no memories of the accident or her mother. And this documentary is her way of trying to connect with the mother she desperately wishes she had known. And she interviews her siblings and learns about the woman who was once labeled the smartest dumb blonde in Hollywood. It is so interesting because Mariska has gone out of her way in her acting career to be perceived the exact opposite way that her mother was. And Jane was actually highly intelligent. I thought this was amazing. She spoke 4 languages and was a gifted musician who played the violin and piano.
Yeah, I've watched quite a few docos on Jane Mansfield before, and I've always been fascinated by her. This is such an interesting watch, and also because Mariska, she looks so different to her, and her demeanor, like the way she portrays herself as an actress, is so different. Although in this documentary, I did think I could see more of Jane Mansfield's face coming out.
Yeah. And also because most of Jane's belongings were seized by debt collectors after she died. So Mariska tries to, deepen this connection and goes through this storage space full of her mother's stuff, which hasn't been touched in decades, just to try and learn more about her. And she also interviews Jane's former press agent. His name is Rusty Straight. He is 99 years old, and he's still completely with it.
I liked Rusty.
He's such a character. And so Jane's story is just really compelling. She was such a smart woman, but she was so bad when it came to money and men. And the circumstances around the car accident and Mariska's dad, Mickey, are just jaw-dropping. The fact that, Mariska was left in the back seat. No one knew she was there after the accident happened. It was crazy.
So wasn't it the case they explained, like so her two brothers were pulled out.
Yes.
And then one of the brothers kind of woke up and said, "Where's Mariska?" And then the ambulance people was going, "Who's Mariska?" And then they went back to the car.
Yes.
And she was wedged underneath one of the seats, and they didn't know she was still there. Like, imagine if they towed that car away.
I know. It is absolutely crazy. And there, if that weren't crazy enough, another incredible part of this doco is the revelation, which has been all over the news this last week, that Mariska's real dad is not actually Mickey Hargitay, but an Italian singer Jane had a fling with called Nelson Sarnelli.
I was so shocked by that.
Yeah.
And the fact that Mariska actually found this news out when she was 25, so the story is she went to the home of a Jane superfan, and that guy had heard a rumor about Nelson, and he's the one that drops the news on her. And then, yes, the truth is admitted. He is her real dad, and it's kept a family secret for the next 35 years until now.
Yeah.
So basically, after Jane's death, Mariska ends up being raised by Mickey, who is no blood relation to her, and his new wife, Ellen. So 2 people who aren't biologically her parents.
Yeah.
And yet the love they have for her is so amazing. I was crying in this doco, crying again. The identity crisis she's gone through, the shame she had about her blonde pin-up mum, the mum, Jane Mansfield's horrible death, to finally making peace with her in her own mind. It was such a good watch.
Yes, this is such a moving film, and it is so well done. This is why I love documentaries. So that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. I'm Shelley Seddon.
And I'm Fleur Michelle.
Join us next week for So Many Receipts.